Blessed be y'all, this is Jen Fremont. I hope you can see this okay. This is the first time I've ever tried to do something quite like this, with the little overhead thing and all this sort of stuff. I am going to talk about art today. And art ties into magic in so many ways. It ties into being able to create your own world. And there's a lot of magical things that require an artistic touch, such as, creating an altar, making sigils, making seals. Illumination is another sort of thing that you get into. And I've done quite a bit of art over the last 5 or 6 years, something like that. And I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I've gotten here. I've got so much stuff now, it's kind of hard to, I can't really put it all out here or anything like that. But I thought I would start. This was the first set of art stuff that I bought when I decided I was going to actually do some sort of art. And it's a very cheap set. It's called Pro Art. And I can't say that they are any sort of good quality. As you can see, I have used them a bit. And when I first got these, especially the graphite, I could not get a different tone in between them. They were pretty much, unless you got into the real hard ones like the 6H or something, it didn't seem to really have that much difference in tone. And so I did not like these did not last very long. This set ended up getting used up a lot by a friend of mine who did a poster one time. And yeah, this was my first set. I think it was like 10, 12 bucks, something like that. And I bought it especially because, it seemed to have a whole bunch of stuff in it, which is maybe good, maybe bad. I got to find out that, yeah, it's cheap for a reason. And this brand, Pro Art, I would not recommend them. You can get a lot better stuff. Anyway, I still have these. For some reason, I can't bear to throw them away. The pencils themselves, I actually, after I had practiced a bit, I decided that I was going to go back to these and do another drawing. And I actually did another drawing that turned out pretty good. And I could actually get some different tones out of them. But I had practiced quite a bit at that point. So I actually had some skill under my belt then. I'm not going to show that drawing because it's rather sexually explicit, and I'm not sure what the actual rules are on art nudity and that sort of thing on YouTube. So most of my stuff is naked women, a few naked males, she-males, different stuff like that. But I'm going to show you a few examples of the stuff that I started with here. There we go. And that's the first portrait that I ever tried that actually turned out to look like something. And I was pretty proud of that. Much later, I did another drawing from this same photo. I just found this photo off the internet, and I liked the look in the eyes and stuff, so I decided to draw it. And I did another one much later on that was much more finished and everything. But I showed it to a couple of friends and compared them, and they were like, "I kind of like the rough one better." But anyway, That was my first one. This was one that I thought turned out really good. I was watching that show Breaking Bad at the time, and I drew this guy, and I just liked the way it turned out, and the bald head turned out to be a little bit more difficult because you had to get all that shadowing in there and stuff like that than actual hair. But I thought he turned out pretty good. This is some of my real early stuff. This is one of my favorites. This is one of the first colored pencil ones that actually came out really good. And you know, all the detail in the pattern on the clothing and everything. That's one of the reasons I did news, because the clothing just baffles me. I'm a little bit better at it now, but when I first started, it's like I have no idea how to do any clothes, so I'm just going to go with nudes. This was a self-portrait I did after a little while. I like the way I intentionally, he's got a little smirk there, or I have a little smirk there, and I like the way that smirk turned out. He's just kind of like, I love this picture. I found this one on the internet too, and I love the eyes in it. See, she had these sparkling blue-green eyes, and just the way her hair was flowing and everything, and this was actually taken on a seaside background with the her hair flowing in the wind, and I just love the sparkle in her eyes. I think this is one of the best early ones that I ever did. This is done with General's pastels, or they're hard chalk is what they call them, but they're a hard pastel, which I actually love. I've tried the softer ones, but those hard ones that I first got were really good. And I think the last one I'm going to show is this one that I thought turned out really good. I was experimenting with you know, a different color palette and stuff like that, and this photo is actually lit with purple and pink lights, and I think I captured that pretty well. Just sort of an experimentation with colors and stuff like that. This is also done with the hard pastels, and also with some fluorescent pencils in there. But that's some of the stuff that I started with. I bought this book, and I decided I am going to just sit and draw and fill this book. I always wanted to draw people, but I never really figured out how to draw people. They always turned out really distorted and stuff like that, so I decided I'm going to fill this whole book, and I did. It took me about a year to fill this, and there's pencil, there's colored pencil, there's pastels in here, all kinds of different stuff. It's all dry media in this one. I've got another one that I've done wet media in. Actually, the first thing I started with was watercolors. I always wanted to watercolor, and I decided one day I was going to buy some and try them out, and I started doing landscapes and stuff, and found that I really liked it. And then I decided, well, I wanted to draw people. I wanted to paint people, and I decided to just go for it. The next thing that I ended up buying was some of these, and I have this nice little kit here now. I had another box that I had this stuff in, but I'm going to show this to you. because this, one of the things that I've tried to do is kit my stuff up so that I can have an entire kit of something that I can do something with. And this is General's Kimberly pencils. And I love these a lot. I love these. They are what I really, the first good set that I got, and I just fell in love with them. They are my go-to set. I'm going to show you some of the other stuff I've got that's good, but it's still not my go-to stuff. This is a pastel thing that I just found laying around the house. I don't know where it actually came from, but I use that with these things. And these are the hard pastels that General's makes. You can see those there. They come in a variety of colors. And I like these because you can get control with them. They are not nearly as soft as these. These have more vibrant colors, and I use those for background washes and stuff like that. And I also keep these are Pacific Arc stuff. I've got that, and I've got some of these sticks that I keep in here. They seem to complement the General stuff. I'll show you these. I can get them out of the package. These are large sticks of graphite that you can use for stuff. These are very soft and they're very black, and they are a much more matte finish than you will find in most graphite stuff. I don't usually keep these in there, but I did manage to find some Pacific Arc pencils. I always kind of thought of these as kind of low-end stuff because they're made in China and they are rather inexpensive, but they work really well. And the other thing I like about these specific pencils is that I don't know if you can see this or not. See, they're different. Depending on the softness, they're actually a different color, which helps you out when you're doing a drawing and you want to pick up a specific pencil there. I have some of these graphite sticks. There we go. Those are good for larger areas. I also have, where are the large ones? Or did I already take them out? Here's some large ones there. And these are the small packs of the chalk. They come in like the gray tones here. This is a very handy pack. You can do a whole thing in gray tones with that pack. And the flesh tones pack, I like that one. I can do portraits and stuff with that very easily. And this is Sanguine and Charcoal. Keep those in there just for extra stuff. And a primary pack. You can get that there. Primary pack. And these are General's chalk pencils. I love these things. The only drawback is you can't buy these separately. And there's certain colors that you use up a lot of, and that's the drawback of these. And that's one reason I've tried to find other stuff to use, because you can't replace these too well. They only sell them in sets, and it's not all, they don't always have the same stuff in the set. It's rather maddening when you try to do that. But anyway, I keep all of that stuff in this box here, ready to go. And I can do a whole lot of stuff with this. I can do pretty much any sort of drawing that I want to do with this that is either pastel or other stuff. Put these away here. Close this up. And some of the other things I picked up along the way that are very useful are sandpaper block. I've got like carbon pencil in here, which is actually carbon rather than other stuff, and a variety of erasers, because and don't ask me which ones go with which, because you know, I've been away from this for a bit and I have ended up forgetting which ones of these go with what, but some erasers are better at certain tasks than others. Especially colored pencil is one of the hardest things, and if I remember correctly, like this, I think this black one takes it off. This will take it down to the paper pretty well. But this one, this, I forget what kind you call that, but these brown erasers, that will actually help you blend stuff in colored pencils. So, you know, I keep a variety of that stuff. They make all kinds of things like, well, that was a carbon sketch. You've got Sketch and Wash, which is water soluble, and I use that every once in a while. Let's see, there's their layout pencil. I've tried to use that, but I prefer a 9B to do all my layout with, because it's the hardest one and you can erase it real good. And I have the whole range here from 9B to the I can find it here, the softest one, which is no, it's not in here. But anyway, they make a range of stuff. I even found, and I found this is actually a collector's item nowadays. It is a Fuse Tex ink pencil. And this thing just kicked around my life ever since I can remember. And it's one of those things that you want a pencil and you pick it up and then you notice, oh, this thing is permanent. It does not erase. And you throw it back in the drawer for another few years. But I found the thing and rescued it, and I actually did a drawing with it, and it makes some interesting effects. Save that for special occasions. But I decided I'm going to use the thing. I'm going to use the thing. It's been kicking around my life forever, so I'm going to use the thing. I think I'm going to do these other ones on another video here, and because this video's gotten a little bit longer than I usually like to go. So this is Jen Freemind. Blessed be y'all.